Hello and welcome to today's Fairy God Boss live webinar. We are so excited to have all of you join us today. We're going to give folks a few more seconds to connect. So as you connect, put your name in the chat and where you're from. We'd appreciate it. We're all over Northeast Ohio, Atlanta, Munich, Florida, San Fran. This is exciting. We're from all over. We'll give a few more seconds here. All right. I see we're still Paulo Barriga, Laguna Beach, California. Hi, Paulo. We're in Connecticut. Albuquerque, New Mexico, Heather Cummings. We have some current and former Cornerstone people joining here, so that's pretty exciting. Great.
So exciting.
Yeah, so as everyone continues to trickle in, I'll introduce myself. So I am Kathy Schrepferman, Manager of Talent Acquisition at Cornerstone. I'm based in Ohio. Cornerstone's in Santa Monica. So I've been with Cornerstone 9 years. So I'm a fan. And I've been remote the whole time. And who I have here with me today are our amazing recruiters at Cornerstone. And so if each of you in a minute will introduce yourselves, I just want to have a few things to go over here. This session will be recorded and shared via email with everyone that's registered. So if you have to jump early, no problem, you can go back. And then during the discussion, we would love to hear from you. So we hope you will use the stage chat on the right side of your screen to send messages, comments, and questions to the panelists and to each other. And we will definitely get to you. So now I'm super excited to kick off today's event, Recruiters Top Tips for Advancing in Your Career, sponsored by us, Cornerstone. So for those of you who don't know, Fairy God Boss is the largest online career community for women. Millions of women visit Fairy God Boss for career connections, jobs, community advice, hard to find intel about how companies treat women, and virtual events like this. Incidentally, we have been a partner with Fairy God Boss since 2015. So we are believers. But today, I'm thrilled to be joined today by three of my colleagues, Sneha Subin, Danielle Thompson, and Dana Gump. So would each of you take a moment, please, introduce yourselves, and then we would love to hear what's going on in your life, personally, professionally, whatever you'd like to share.
All right, so I'll go first. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the call. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Danielle Thompson, and I've been at Cornerstone for almost 3 years now. I am located in Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Baltimore, Maryland, relocated here about 11 years ago now. But at Cornerstone, I am one of the talent acquisition partners. I recruit for a little bit of everything. I absolutely love it here. And personally, what have I been up to? Just raising my 3 wonderful children. I have one that graduated from Spelman College. I have another one who is currently going to SAE Institute, which is film school or film college here in Atlanta. And then my husband and I decided to start over, and we have an 8-year-old. So we have a 3rd grader. And so, just taking it day by day and juggling life, right? But Cornerstone is amazing, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. That's great. Danielle, Sneha.
I'll go next. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. It's a pleasure to be here and talking to these people. So I'm actually I'll introduce myself. Like myself, Sneha Subin. I've been working with Cornerstone on demand as a senior talent acquisition partner from last 3 years. I'm based out of Mumbai in India. I'm a tech recruiter basically with more than a decade of experience. I've spent my entire career in finding and bringing right talent to the tech organizations. So I've hired for various roles like data science, QA testers, artificial intelligence, and so on. Personally, I'm a mom to an amazing son, and whenever I am free, I like just love spending time with him. I'm really happy to contribute in today's discussion. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Sneha. Dana.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having us. It's so exciting to see where y'all are coming in from. I sit in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Go Steelers, shameless plug. And I've been with Cornerstone about 2.5 years now, recruiting on almost everything and anything, but focusing mostly on sales, marketing, customer success, things of that nature. Personally, I have 2 kids, Easton and Adeline. Today is actually my daughter's 11th birthday, so shout out to Addie, 11 years old today. They keep me super busy with 3 soccer teams and a baseball team, and so that's what we will be doing, feels like, for eternity here. So thanks for having us. Nice to meet y'all.
Awesome, Dana. Well, thank you. I'm super excited about our discussion today because I feel like it's very timely. And for those just tuning in, I just want to remind everyone that we will be answering questions that come directly from all of you. So please submit your questions on the chat on the right of your screen, and we will do our best to respond to as many as we can. Now, question 1, let's dig right into it. And I'll have Sneha answer this one first. How has the job market changed recently? Where and how is your team actively seeking out potential candidates? And again, as a reminder, Sneha's in India. So Sneha.
Yeah. So I'll talk about the India market. So the job market has been changing due to various reasons. So couple of them are advancement in the technology, as you all know, and global economic shift. Remote jobs and digital skills have become more important now. There is an increased demand in the areas like software development, artificial intelligence, data science, etc. So after COVID, many companies have transitioned themselves to remote jobs or either hybrid jobs. And this has given a lot of opportunities to people or professionals to work from anywhere. And coming to the next part of the question, like where we actively seek out candidates. So in India specifically, we have our own job boards, like local job boards, like we have Naukri.com, which we use extensively. We have Insta here, we have Indeed, we have Shine, and so on. And yes, LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has become a trend nowadays. That is something where we look out for candidates. We also look out for candidates in various social media platforms, and we often attend a lot we often attend job fairs. We utilize our internal employee referrals. We utilize ATS, our ATS, that is applicant tracking system. So for those who do not know, like it is a software tool which helps hiring managers or companies or recruiters to track the applications that we receive from different sources. Like it is a single place where you will get a lot of applications from different sources. So these are some of the channels that we go out and look for candidates. Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And then Danielle, how about your view on how the market's changed here in the US and what you're seeing?
So I would say within the past couple of years, it has definitely shifted. Back in 2021, it was more of a candidate's market, but right now, I would say it's an employer's market. What I mean by that is due to so many layoffs that various companies are having, there's more supply than demand, right? So there's more candidates open and looking for work than what a lot of companies can kind of take on. And so honestly, I hate to say it this way, but companies kind of have the pick of the litter right now. And as far as what tools we use here in the US, I would say heavily it's LinkedIn. Of course, there's always different job boards that we go to, but LinkedIn is our bread and butter, if you will, right? So we can go on there and really drill down to what we're looking for, the skill set, the experience, the location, everything. And those candidates that are a match will pop up. And so, yes, LinkedIn, definitely.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle. And Dana, I don't know if you have anything to add, but what I will add for Cornerstone and actively seeking out potential candidates, we are partners with a lot of organizations like Fairy Godboss, where we list our job opportunities. We have a lot of employee resource groups at Cornerstone. And if we don't have an outside partner that attaches to that resource group, then we're actively seeking those partnerships out. So in terms of underrepresented candidates, it's a great way to bring more to the table as well. Dana, anything else to add to that?
Not to add to that, but I know what the next question is. And Melanie and Amy, I see some questions coming in that we can really answer. And I'll let Kathy read the next question, and then I'll address some of the chat too.
Gotcha. Look at you, proactive, head of the game. So awesome. Thanks for that insight, y'all. I definitely want to bring up some additional things we can address from the audience, but let's talk about how applicants can best make their application and skills stand out, because as other companies may be aware, we get 600 to 700 in the US, 600 to 700 resumes per job posting these days. So Dana, tackle that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the first thing that I'll say about this is I highly suggest not mass applying to positions. You can tell easily when someone takes a standard resume and just throws it out to a million jobs, hoping something comes through, right? Read a job description. If it says, we need somebody who's used Salesforce for 2 years, put on your resume, my experience, Salesforce experience for 2 years. Really focus and be intentional on the information you're putting on your resume. 2 reasons. One, it's easy for recruiters to see that information right away. Or if I do a search in the ATS, Salesforce, it'll pull resumes that have that first, right? And 2, if companies, and some companies do use applicant tracking systems that have knockout questions. So if you can't answer those questions saying you have that experience, you'll be eliminated right away. So be as specific as you can in your resume as it relates to the job description. And I know somebody asked in the chat, and it's passed by now, open to network on LinkedIn that you had mentioned. It looks like some people say it's a turnoff. I don't agree with that. I think that the more you can network yourself, whether it's letting people know you're open, to networking, whether it's proactively reaching out to a recruiter or a manager, someone you used to work with in the space. I mean, I don't think there's such a thing as too much. So I would say put open to network and just be really intentional and specific with your resume.
Yeah, Dana, that's a good point. I mean, I hate to say it, with the 600 to 700 resumes, a lot of times the hiring leader will say, hey, so-and-so reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, vet them out. And then all of a sudden, your information is at the top of the pile. I hate to give away that secret because we'll probably be bombarded now with LinkedIn requests, but it is legit. Sneha, what do you think?
So according to me, it is not the candidate who is best qualified to get through an interview process. It is the candidate who actually is able to put it through the resume that makes him or her the best fit for a job. So like as Dana said, like we get like number of applications. So like we, if we just open one single role, we get 200 plus applications, and hiring managers and recruiters both are very busy. So we just have few seconds to go through the resumes, and resume is the first thing that we go through when we get applications, you know. So it is very important for a job seeker to prepare the resume in such a manner that it stands out, you know. So you can do that in simple way, like just keep it clear and concise. Make sure that your resume is easy to read and understand. Like you can utilize bullet points wherever you think you should, and like utilize short sentences to convey your information quickly. Go back and cross check, double check on the resume that you have posted or forwarded. If there is any like spelling mistakes, or if there is any font mismatch or alignment issues or anything like that. Like just make sure that it puts a clean like it is very important that the document should be clean. And also I would say that highlight the skills and experiences as that experiences that is relevant to the job that you're applying for. And if you can add some of the achievements from the prior organizations or previous experiences, that will be well and good. And if you mention it in the format, like in the number format or in the results, if you can share, that will make a positive impact. Like resume should make a positive impact at the first glance, you know, to get through the automated applicant tracking system is what I can share. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Neha. Wonderful. Well, this next one, let's start with you, Dana. How would you suggest candidates prepare for an interview at Cornerstone? What's the information they must know when interviewing at Cornerstone, if there's any that you look for?
Yeah, so I'll say just in general, preparing for an interview, not even at just Cornerstone, but anywhere, know what you're speaking about, know the position. You know, there's been times I get on a call with a candidate and I'll say, you know, give me high level overview of your experience as it relates to the job posting. And what I'm looking for is, you know, this position says it's going to deal with marketing campaigns. I've run X amount of marketing campaigns. This one was super successful because the return rate on it was X, Y, and Z. So have your specifics ready for what the job posting is. Specifically at Cornerstone, you know, take a glance at our website, know a little bit about what's happening. I had a conversation, and I'm not sure who knows on the call, but we recently acquired Tailspin, which was really exciting for us. This day after we acquired, as soon as I got on a call with a candidate, they said, "Oh my gosh, you acquired Tailspin. How exciting. What can that do for your company now?" And I was like, wow, it's been one day. You know, that's the kind of stuff that sets you aside, is knowing something that's going on in the company. So those are the things that I would say. And then outside of that, just kind of something I always look for, talk about what really motivates you and excites you. Even if that's not in the job description, you know, and it's something that you think might not be relevant, it can be really relevant because it could even lead to a different opportunity in the company. We could be talking about a customer success position and you could hit the mark for all of it, but you have a true passion for something else. And we talk about that. And I'm like, wait, you could really fit into this role as well. So be honest, be honest about what you're excited about and what you truly want to do, you know, in your next opportunity.
Great point. Great point. And there are many instances where someone interviews and they're not the right fit at that time, and we've reconnected later and ended up hiring them. So it does happen. Danielle, any additional thoughts?
Yeah, so I would say also how you can prepare for the interview is go into it with some insightful questions for the hiring manager. You know, you don't want to ask those basic, what is the pay rate? Please don't go into an interview asking that to the manager, because that's something that the recruiter would have covered or should have covered by the time you go to that next step interview, you know, or benefits, things like that. But you want to ask insightful questions that really hone into what the role entails. And then aside from that, make sure that your atmosphere is conducive to that of a virtual interview, right? More than likely, it's going to be a virtual interview with your camera turned on, because this is a remote based company. And so the manager, wants to be able to connect with you. So just make sure, of course, that you look the part, and that there's no loud, crazy noise going on in the background. I do understand life happens, and a lot of us have pets. I have a little Yorkie myself. I call him my CBO, my Chief Barking Officer, because sometimes the inevitable happens when I'm doing an interview with someone, and Amazon may show up. But, if that does happen, just take a moment and say, oh, my apologies for and the hiring manager will be, understanding. But try not to schedule an interview on a day where you have construction going on in your home with a hammer and nail the whole time.
That's great. That's great information. Thanks, Danielle. Dana, what do you think are some of the biggest tips for what not to do when applying for or interviewing for a job? And then kind of on the flip side, what are the top qualities you look for when you're interviewing a candidate for a position?
Yeah, so I'll start with the positives, or the to-dos, I should say. Be enthusiastic. I love when I talk to a candidate and they just start, and these are their words, like, I totally geek out over your product, or I just love your product. I'm familiar with it, or, something along those lines. There's nothing wrong with geeking out over Cornerstone or being a nerd about it. People will say that. I love that. Like, we want to hear your passion and excitement. We want to know why you want to work for Cornerstone. There's a million opportunities out there. So, I'll go back to the generic resumes and generic kind of conversations. If you're just going through it to hopefully land a position out of 20, it reflects in your conversation. It reflects in your resume. So, be enthusiastic and only apply to those positions you really want. I saw a question in here that said, even if you don't have the skill set, I've heard you should apply. I don't agree with that. You'll either get knocked out from knockout questions, or we'll start talking and there's just not going to be passion about it. You're not going to be excited about it if you don't have the experience. And then to do, I would also say, make sure that you're asking questions. And Danielle talked about this a bit earlier. Hey, what are the big initiatives in the first 30, 60, 90 days? Or what are big projects that are happening in the company right now, and how would I support those? Make sure you're really intentional with that as well. What not to do? I always think it's a little bit of a turnoff when somebody talks negatively about previous employers or coworkers. It's not going to help your situation at all. So I would stick away from any negative talk. And if you're trying to explain why you left a situation and it was a bad experience, because I saw a question about that in the chat, it's okay to say it wasn't the environment you were hoping for or the culture you were hoping for, but just be aware of the words that you're using when you're describing those experiences.
Amazing. Sneha, what are your thoughts?
So I would say three things. First of all, when you're applying for a role or appearing for an interview, just be prepared. Do not go unprepared. Know more about the company that you're applying for, the company culture, the values, or the benefits that they have, or the role that you're applying for. Just do your homework and appear for an interview, because that makes a good impression, and it shows to the interviewer that you are genuinely interested and committed towards the role that you're applying for. I would also say that don't be late for an interview. Punctuality is very crucial. Like, I've seen in my experience that there are candidates who have been rejected since they did not join the interview on time, or there was a delay. So arriving late for an interview signals a lack of professionalism and respect towards the interviewer's time. So that is really important. And the third thing that I would share is, obviously, be honest, and whatever information you're putting in the resume, just make sure that you have experience about it, because there are some candidates who who know, like now the ATS is the applicant tracking system, and for that sake, like they will just put information which they do not have experience on, to just like they may just put the keywords, but they may not have the experience on that. Like it's very important to be honest to the skills and experience and the education or knowledge that you have about the role that you're applying for. So these are some things that you have to keep in mind, and while preparing for an interview or appearing for an interview.
Awesome. Danielle, any other thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm a big bubbly personality person, and while I have my professional serious side, I also am very, I like to make people laugh, right? So it's okay to make the manager kind of laugh, maybe, and just make them more comfortable with who you are as well, right? But also, I would also point out is it's really a great idea to look up that hiring manager on LinkedIn ahead of time if you can, right? Because you'll get their name in the interview invite. So you can go on there, look at their LinkedIn profile, and find something, if at all, if possible, to connect with them, right? So if you see that they went to the University of Georgia, right, you can on the call at some point say, "Go Dogs," and just find something to connect with them and make it a more personable experience.
Yeah, I'm going to just say one more thing real quick, Daniel. A good point is, looking them up and making that connection. Ask for contact information. I know there's controversy of, do you send a thank you? Is it important?
Mm-hmm.
Do it. And I say it for multiple reasons. I think it just shows your true interest. And I think that, let's say a couple days go by and I've sent your information to the manager. Hey, Danielle Thompson's a great candidate. Here's her information. And then a couple days go by and you send a thank you. I can then forward that to the manager and be like, wow, look at Danielle. Look at her follow up. Look at her perseverance, and then it brings you back to the top, right? You're constantly on that manager's mind. So I send the thank you.
Yes, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
This is true. This is true. Well, let's take a question from the audience. There have been several questions, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. And if we can't get to you, perhaps we can connect on LinkedIn and chat further. But I've seen a couple of questions regarding ageism. One individual says, I've had some amazing interviews that went nowhere, and I suspect it might be related to my age. Do you have any suggestions for older women looking for work? I am hardworking, tech savvy, and an excellent communicator. Anyone want to take that one?
I would say don't immediately assume that it's because of your age, right? Sometimes it's hard for us to digest the thought that maybe I myself just may not be a great interviewer, or sometimes nerves get in the way. And so while your skills may be impeccable and you may be the right fit for the role, it may just be that you're not coming across that way in the interview. So I would highly suggest maybe doing a mock interview with a close friend, asking them for feedback. If you have a friend or a relative that is in the position of hiring, say, hey, can you sit and talk with me, because I'm just not, hitting the mark on these interviews and I'm not moving forward. Can you give me some constructive criticism as to how I can maybe better my interviewing skills, or take a look at my resume? Maybe there's something else there that I can kind of highlight. But it sounds like you're getting the interviews and just not progressing past that point. So I would just say, again, don't assume that it's your age that's the stumbling block.
Yeah, I'll comment on that too. I think it's frustrating for candidates, and maybe this is the case for the person who asked the question. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but not getting proper feedback. And don't be afraid to ask the recruiter or reach out and say, can you please provide me with, some guidance. What were some things I did well? What were some things I could work on? And put it on them. Let it shake out. I know we try here at Cornerstone, anybody who is interviewed, to reach out to them and say, hey, really strong, knowledge in the tech that you need, but you weren't specific in your examples, or whatever it might be. Ask for it and kind of demand just a little bit of feedback, because it's going to help you, the rest of your way through interviews.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle and Dana. All right. As a recruiter, and Danielle, I'm going back to you on this one. What are three things about Cornerstone that you always make sure to highlight when you are talking to candidates?
Yes. So 3 things I like to highlight. Number 1, Cornerstone, it really does promote growth, right? So it's a tech company. We work a lot cross-functionally. And so, whether you come in as maybe a project or product marketing manager, but you want to kind of cross over into something else, we promote growth. So I like to highlight that. Number 2, I really like to highlight the work-life balance, because in this day and age, so many of us have children that are in sports and all kinds of after-school programs. And Cornerstone really does promote a flexible work schedule. Of course, you would take that up with your manager, making sure that it's appropriate timing wise and making sure the team has proper coverage. But, we offer unlimited PTO. That's something that a lot of companies do not offer. So that's another thing that I highlight. And then third, the product itself. We really, really have a great product, and I stand by it. We are honored to be able to take enterprise level companies to the next level within their respected spaces. And so I highlight that product and just giving the candidate that buy-in that, hey, you're coming on to a company that has a great product.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Danielle. What about you, Dana?
Yeah, so I highlight our culture. I think it's now that everybody is remote, it's a big ask, right? What's your culture? And to be fair, our culture has shifted, and it's not, good, bad, and different. It's exciting, and it happens. It happens when people are remote. It's different. So how do you find the ways to connect? And we have this whole philosophy of bring your whole self to work that I just love, because we really can show up as we are, who we are, and be respected for that. So I talk about our culture. I talk about our CRGs. It's something I'm passionate about. We have a really big focus for DEIB. I'm actually a committee member on our All Abilities United CRG group. So I like to go into that and how we can support and, supply access or, for everybody. So I always talk about that. And then opportunities, kind of a little what Danielle talked about, but a little different. I know one thing that kind of sold me to come to Cornerstone. I interviewed actually with Kathy, and she told me about gig work. And I was like, oh, what's gig work? And so Danielle had mentioned working cross-functionally. We have the opportunity here at Cornerstone to internally sign up or, apply for gig work. And so you submit your information, why you want to work on this gig. Maybe it's with the marketing team, which, I have just done. It could be with sales, whatever it is. If there's a big project coming on, you can sign up for that. And then you work on that project and you get that experience. And then you say, hey, maybe I'm really interested in marketing, and that gets your foot in the door. And then you start working with the team more, and you can grow yourself that way. That's another thing I always talk about.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things, for sure. Now, I've seen some questions that are being asked around this next one we have. We do hear from so many women that it's hard to get past the automated system when they submit their applications. And if you don't have a personal connection at the company, you're just one of many numbers. So Sneha, I'm going to you with this one. How do you suggest women get through automated systems? And what about making that personal connection? Do you recommend candidates do outreach to current recruiters or employees for informational interviews before applying? What would be your advice there?
So I would say the same thing again. Like resume is very important to get through an automated applicant system. So make sure that you're preparing or creating your resume in such a manner that it has all the keywords relevant to the job that you are applying for. Okay, that is very important. Like you can do that by simply going through the job description, and you can also pull out some keywords from the job description or role that you want to apply for, and mention that in your resume. That will for sure help you to get through the automated applicant system, because uh, the system like system wants the keywords, like they try to match the resume and the job description, so that is very important. And on other part of the question, I would say key like build a strong online presence on LinkedIn. As you know, all most of the recruiters go to LinkedIn to source profiles. So you have to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to mark, like updated, like whenever you have achievements, try to update that in your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that your skills, the projects that you have worked in, or the experiences that you have are mentioned in detail in the LinkedIn profile, because that really attracts the recruiter's attention. And you can also utilize LinkedIn to reach out to recruiters, to professionals, to employers for the areas that you have interest on, or the industry that you have interest in, and just engage with their content. Try joining some relevant groups, try and participate in discussions with them, and also try to attend some industry related conferences, meetups, webinars, some good networking events. There are a lot of things that happens on LinkedIn. You'll come to know once you keep scrolling down, like you'll get a lot of activities. So just keep growing your network, and that will actually help you to understand like what skills are there in the market, and what you can learn on, or what you should enhance yourself with. And it also helps to build a strong relationship with the people that you professionals that are looking out for candidates like you. Okay, so the third thing is that I would say is there are many companies who offer employee referral programs, where current employees can refer someone that they know for the open positions that we have. So you can also reach out to employees directly if you see any open position in their organization, and if you think that that role fits your profile. So you can just reach out to those employees and ask them to refer you for that particular position. That is another way. And then you can also, like, whenever you are appearing for an interview, you can reach out to the recruiters and understand what the company culture is, what the role basically is, and what potential opportunities you have after, like, for applying for that role. Like connecting with recruiters and employees gives a valuable insight to apply, or to know more about the company, or to know what skills or what openings are there in the market.
Awesome. Dana, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, not too much, but I would say network, 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 network. Like, it's never enough, and there's no such thing as too much. Every opportunity I think I've had has come from networking, and I don't mean you need to know the CEO to get an interview. I came to Cornerstone. I knew a girl I had worked with in like my very first job, so it was just a couple years ago, that I had worked with her, and I saw she worked at Cornerstone. She had an interesting post out there, and I said, "Hey, what's Cornerstone? What do you do over there?" And we reconnected and went through it, and there happened to be a recruiting position open, and she was like, "Oh, I'll refer you over." And then I got a conversation, and I'm not saying being a referred candidate means you're getting the position, because I saw in the chat someone said, does that mean you'll get an interview? It doesn't necessarily mean you'll get an interview, but it helps you to understand the company better, the position better, the culture. And so then you're better prepared as a candidate to move through the process. So I'm a big component of continually reaching out and growing your network.
Awesome. Wonderful. I know we're getting a little tight on time here, but can any of you think of a success story about individuals who overcame rejection and then landed their dream job? Sneha?
Yeah, I'll go with this question. So, as a recruiter, we come across many candidates who face rejections, like some take it positively, some do not take it positively. So, I can share one instance. Like, there was one candidate who had applied for a tech position, but somehow he could not clear the interview round. So he came back to me asking for the reason. I did share him the detailed reason of rejection. He went back and he prepared himself. After a couple of months, he reapplied for the same role, and that time he was able to crack the interview. So I did ask him the step that he took to clear that round. He said me that he went back and he analyzed himself. He worked on the areas that he was lacking in. He had noted down the points that the questions were asked on, and he went back and worked on it. He attended a few online courses. He attended some coding projects online, and some meetups, and to enhance his skills, like he worked on it actually, and then he was able to get through that interview process and was able to land to that job. So I would suggest that, like, when you are when if you're rejected, and just take that feedback positively, go back and work on it, and I'm sure that you will come back strongly and get through the interview rounds. So that is a suggestion that I can give.
Okay, great. I would like to take a couple of audience questions. We're getting a lot of them. So let's go with this is a great one. So many interviews are not genuine opportunities because there are internal candidates slated for the role. So they're saying HR is just going through the motions to document fair hiring practices, and any advice to get more real opportunities. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'll go. It's a really good question. And to be completely fair and honest, when I interviewed here at Cornerstone, I asked, are there internal candidates in the process? You can ask that. I have people ask me that all the time. I will say at Cornerstone, there's not a time where I post a job and will take external interviews if I'm not going to consider them. I think it's a poor candidate experience. However, when we do post jobs internally and externally, and if there are internals in process, they're vetted the same way as externals. And so I would say, ask the question, am I going up against an internal? How do I rank against them? What am I missing, a skill set or an opportunity? Just ask the question. I mean, maybe you won't get someone who's as honest as I am, but I try to be really fair and honest with people. I know it's a lot of your time. And so I think if you just ask the right questions, you probably get the answers you want.
Mm-hmm. And then I would also like to jump in. So exactly what Dana said, but also even if the answer is yes, we do have internals that we are considering, still give that interview your all, because there's other roles that are open. And as we talk with you, we may say, oh, you know what? Let me put this person, see if they're interested in this role that they may not even know is coming down the pike in the next week or two. And so while that role may be something that, an internal is going for, even though the internal is still not guaranteed to get that role, right? But still give that interview your all and just see what happens from there. I actually have a success story of a candidate that was originally applying for one role. The hiring manager was like, you know what, out of the two candidates, the finalists, I want to hire both, but I can't because I only have one opening. But I know that this other person has an open role. Let them interview, and the person she's on her way to get the job. So, yeah.
Wow.
I agree with Daniel. Yeah, I agree with Daniel. Like I have seen such cases where the position was almost filled up. We had two candidates in the final stages, and one we could offer, the other one we could not. But in after 1 month, we again got that requirement, and we reconsidered the candidate who was in the pipeline. So we never know. Like there are chances.
Oh, for sure. And I'm going to take another question before we try to wrap up here. And again, for anyone that didn't get your questions answered, connect with any one of us on Fairy Godless on LinkedIn, and we're happy to chat with you and get your questions answered. But this is a good one. How much do recruiters focus on your resume versus your LinkedIn profile? And I would just like to say, because this is a sticking point with me, if you apply for a job with only your LinkedIn profile, and then you go to the LinkedIn profile and all it has is your title and the years, you are not helping yourself. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile is completely up to date if that's what you're going to apply with, but also have your resume. A lot of recruiters, and jump in anybody here, a lot of recruiters will apply with LinkedIn. Make sure it's a solid LinkedIn, and then but have a resume because they like to forward resumes to the hiring managers. Anybody have anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say it's such a great point. With the amount of candidates we're getting, I mean, I will have 600 to 700 candidates to positions in a couple days, right? And if I see you applied and I click on your LinkedIn and it's literally a title and I can't find any information, any metrics, statistics, anything that shows me that, you are right for the role, I don't have time to then reach out, ask for a resume, wait for the resume, go back through the app. Like we need something quick. So I totally support what Kathy said.
All right, cool. Well, Fairy God Boss has a tradition of asking its panelists the following. We typically see that women don't feel comfortable enough bragging or taking ownership of all the amazing things that they achieve. So share with us, each one of you, an accomplishment, whether it's personal or professional, that you are most proud of. Dana, kick us off.
Oh boy. Okay. I guess what I'd say I'm most proud of, or one of the things, I had mentioned to you all earlier, I'm on the committee for the CRG group here at Cornerstone, All Abilities United. My son, Easton, was born deaf. And, while working full-time job, I took 3 years of sign language, American Sign Language class at the School for the Deaf after working hours to, be able to communicate better with my son. And I can say he moved this year from the School for the Deaf into our local school district and is doing really well. And so I'm really proud of all of that.
Oh my gosh, I'm not crying, you're crying. I love that. I know what a great mama you are and how much you've done to help your children, and that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Sneha.
Yeah, to answer to the question, like I agree to some extent. Like there are still some women who are like shy and hesitant to share some good things that they have done or the achievements that they have accomplished. But it is very important that to change this thinking or change this mindset and let women or motivate women to come out and be proud and confident about the things that they have been doing in, and the achievements that they have done in their life. So there are many companies nowadays who are promoting and taking related measures to increase or promote diversity hiring in their organizations. So these are some things that will help women to come out, and there are a lot of opportunities coming out for women especially. So for me, like I think participating in this event and sharing screen with such amazing people and talking about career advancement and giving tips is itself an achievement for me, and I'm so proud of it. Yeah, that is what I want to share.
Awesome. Thank you, Sneha. Danielle.
Yes, so I think the thing that I'm most proud of, honestly. Just growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, so in the inner city, and becoming a teen mom, right? But I ended up, my husband and I, we got married when we were 18 years old and had our first daughter. And, now here we are 23 years later and still being happily married to my wonderful king. He's so amazing to me. My best friend, but just cultivating that relationship and, kind of growing and learning. I told him not too long ago, like, wow, I've seen you go from like no hair on your face to now you have gray hairs. Like, it's just so cool to me to kind of go through that transition. And so then on top of that, he and I are leaders at our church. So we are in charge of the marriage ministry. And so something that's very near and dear to my heart. So not only do I get to build rapport with various candidates, right, and give them the great news that they have an offer and are moving forward in their career, but I also get to help cultivate relationships in my personal life and kind of help people navigate through life.
I love that so much. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. And for anyone who's managing teams, that is one thing I think Dana could probably attest to this, that in my first one-on-one, I said, open up OneNote and name it your brag page, because in our one-on-ones, we're going to talk about the week and you're going to tell me something you did and accomplished that you're proud of. So it really gets people used to, women especially, used to bragging. So thank you so much, Sneha, Dana, Danielle, for joining us today and for sharing your fantastic advice. And thanks to all of you who tuned in for the discussion. As a reminder, we'll be sending out a recording of today's event, along with resources to learn more about opportunities at Cornerstone. And in the meantime, be sure to check out Cornerstone's profile in Jobs on Fairy Godboss. Also, we would love to hear your feedback to help us improve future events. So please head to the Type Form tab on the right side of your screen to share your thoughts in a 1-minute survey. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.